All right, let's bring in my panel this evening, Sky News host Cory Bernardi and Queensland National Senator Matt Canavan. Welcome to you both. Look, this week has been the worst for the government when it comes to The Voice. Matt, we've really seen Labor under pressure, both in Parliament and in the media, to actually explain clearly what The Voice is, who will sit on the body, which areas of public policy The Voice will be able to give advice on. And they've been accused and left exposed for lacking detail.
Well, that's exactly right, Shari, and the government hasn't just been able to not answer the questions, it's also divided the country on this. I mean, even before we go to the polls, the government has lost this debate because their objective here a year ago, what they keep saying is that this vote, this voice will somehow unite the country. Well, it's clearly not doing that and most likely, almost certainly not going to do that. I mean, even if the voice was to now get up, it'll be so by the looks of it, a very, very slim majority. So that, by definition, will not bring our country together. It'll only divide our nation. The only way now to avoid that permanent division of our nation is to vote no. So we do not set up this divisive body in our constitution. We do not have our constitution being something of partisan and controversial topics. The most important thing in any constitution is that the vast majority of citizens wholly accept that constitution. And we're very lucky, very fortunate to be one of the very few countries in the world where our constitution has stood the test of time. It hasn't been particularly controversial. It's had very, very few and minimal changes in its 120 years of life. We should only ever seek to make changes which have significant, substantial, cross-party support. Now, Anthony Albanese had the chance to potentially deliver that. He could have spoken and talked to the opposition, but he railroaded through this option without any compromise. He's only got himself to blame for this, and I agree with the opposition leader. Now, the best thing for the nation would be for us to not go through this divisive topic.
It's such a pity because had Albanese chosen just to have Indigenous recognition in the Constitution, and while that is a constitutional change, that is something that surveys indicate the majority of Australians would have got behind. It would have been something like the same-sex marriage plebiscite. You'd have something like a 90+% of people voting to recognise Indigenous people in the Constitution. But adding the voice to Parliament, when Labor hasn't been able to provide detail, is where they have come unstuck. And Cory, you have to worry, this isn't just the No campaign that we've seen accusing the Prime Minister and Linda Burney of not having detail, but this is left-leaning media outlets like The Project this week who've really got stuck into the PM.
Well, this is part of the problem, Shari, is a lot of the questions the No campaign have been asking are now being asked by the Yes campaign. We saw that on The Project with the left-leaning, but also on my show a couple of weeks ago, I had Chris Kenny on, who's a fierce advocate for the Yes campaign. He made a couple of statements which have now been contradicted by the minister themselves. It's meant to be a consultative body, but we've got Linda Burney saying they can make a contribution on anything that's relevant to them. Malcolm Turnbull today has come out on Twitter and said basically The Voice, if it gets up, can contribute to any part of public policy at all. And then when you add the framework of the Prime Minister very early in the piece where he said it would be a very brave government that ignores the opinion of The Voice, you've got a de facto policy-making body because everyone's going to be too scared to go against it for fear of being called racist. This is the most divisive, this is the most racist proposal we've ever seen, and they are desperately trying to mop it up to sandbag some sort of idea that it's about recognition. It's not. We've got an embarrassing minister. I watched Question Time yesterday.
And also to be part of the Prime Minister's own legacy, I think is a big part of it as well.